Bienvenidos. Right now we're going to learn about gender and articles. In Spanish, nouns have something called gender. It's something very different from what we have in English. And all nouns either fit into one of two categories. They're either masculine or feminine. So we've already learned to identify nouns. Nouns are anything that's a person, place, thing, or idea. And then all nouns in Spanish either are masculine or feminine. And when you think about living things, I mean, that makes sense. You know, a boy is masculine, a girl is feminine. When you think about inanimate objects like a table, a house, even in Spanish, those things have a gender. It doesn't mean that it's a boy thing or a girl thing. It's just an attribute of that noun. So it doesn't really mean that the house is a feminine thing or that a car is a masculine thing. It just is a part of the language structure of Spanish. It makes sense when we think about living people and animals, but it doesn't make as much sense to us when we think about it in terms of non-living things. But nevertheless, we have to learn how to categorize all nouns in Spanish so that we can structurally create Spanish sentences properly. So first thing we're going to talk about is how to categorize those nouns in terms of gender. In Spanish, there are a lot of exceptions to the rules, but there are some basic rules that we can follow, and 99% of the time, if we follow these rules, then we will have correctly categorized a particular noun. So all nouns that end in O are masculine. This is in general, okay? All nouns that end in OR are masculine. All nouns that end in MA. And all nouns that end in S. These would all be masculine nouns. Chico. Profesor. Programa. Autobús. Now let's look at a set of rules that we can use to categorize nouns as feminine. Nouns that end in A, the letter A, are feminine. Nouns that end in ORA, ora, are feminine. Nouns that end in CION, sion, are feminine. Nouns that end in DAD, dal, are feminine. This is in general, though. There are exceptions to the rules. Escuela, señora, lección, nacionalidad. Nouns that follow these rules are usually feminine. Now, living things that do not end in the letter O or A can be either feminine or masculine depending on the gender of that thing. So if you're talking about a student, estudiante, estudiante could be masculine or feminine depending on the gender of the student you're talking about. So it's like a chameleon noun. It's going to change gender depending on the gender of the living thing. Hombre doesn't end in O or A, but it's obviously talking about a masculine living thing, so that's masculine. Mujer is talking about a feminine living thing, and that is a feminine noun. Now, here's another rule breaker. Nouns that end in ista, I-S-T-A, like turista, are going to be masculine or feminine depending on the person you're talking about. So if you're talking about a man tourist, it'll be a masculine turista. If it's a girl tourist, it's a feminine turista. Okay? Some exceptions to all the rules are words like mapa. Mapa is masculine. Dia, even though dia ends in an A, it's masculine. Mano, mano means hand. Even though mano ends in O, it's a feminine noun. If you follow the rules, you'll be right 99% of the time, but there are always going to be some nouns that break the rules.